Tickets on sale now.
Lens Rentals versus Lenny's Rentals. Difference number 16.
At Lens Rentals, we have the largest inventory of rental equipment in the world for photographers and videographers.
At Lenny's Rentals, we have all best brands. Sony, Nikon, Leica, Canon, Fujifilm.
World's largest inventory. Just one more reason to use Lens Rentals.
Pentax e o Android.
LensRentals.com. Shoot with the best.
Hello, and welcome to Season 4, Episode 3 of the Midwest Gaming Classic Podcast. I'm your host, Jason Garris, panel director of the Midwest Gaming Classic. With over 24 million copies sold over 6 games, the gritty world of Devil May Cry has been capturing the minds of gamers for over 20 years. Join Dan Southworth, Reuben Langdon, Faye, Kingslee, and Brian Hanford as they reminisce about their experiences creating the emotion and actual emotions that drives this award-winning game series forward. And you know what? Enough of me talking. Why don't we get to the podcast?
So, this is the Devil May Cry panel. I assume all of you have played this game. Woo! Yeah! Alright. I would also like to thank you guys for, I think, bringing in about the most well-armed crowd that we have had in a panel presentation in about the last 20 years. Thank you for that.
Yeah, metal detectors don't work.
No, not at all.
I see.
So, let's get started, and we'll go from my left, your right, over. So we'll start with Faye, and just give us your background and how you got involved with Devil May Cry.
Hi, my name is Faye Kingslee, and I got involved with Devil May Cry 5 by auditioning for the role of Nico. She came fully formed. I didn't really get much information about her. I just sort of brought her in the way she was, and she's a very beloved character to myself as well. I really like her, and I love that she has so much sass.
Very true to form.
Hell yeah. That's it. Moving on.
I'm Brian Hanford. I play V, and I came to Devil May Cry 5, same as Faye. Auditioned, went through that process, and then got brought on and got to work with these two amazing gentlemen right here, and obviously Johnny and some of the other incredible people that were part of that team. And very much, as Faye said, V and Devil May Cry 5 in general is just a very near and dear character and game to my heart, because one, it was my first kind of game that I played of that genre back in the day, so being able to be part of the franchise now is really cool. And also just because Devil May Cry has been such an incredible community to become part of, that I just didn't know was a thing. I mean, being able to come to events like this and the outreach on social media when the game came out, and being able to really see that is awesome, because it's how I felt, because I love games and really enjoyed this title. So yeah, that's me.
All right, I guess I'm up. My name is Reuben Langdon, and I came on to Devil May Cry, the franchise, from 3. My partner and I, Takuya Shibata-san, who now runs Just Cause, and we co-founded Just Cause Together Productions, which is a production company in Japan. They're doing animation and cutscenes for video games. Anyways, before we got into all that, we formed our company, and we were looking for projects to get under our belt, so we'd have some clout as a company, so we could make some movies. And we started pitching to different game companies, Capcom, Konami, Square, and others, that we could hire talent from America and bring them over to work on Japanese games. Because at the time, Metal Gear, a lot of the Japanese produced games were using just Japanese actors for the motion capture, and then they would eventually localize them with English dubbing. And what I was noticing as a gamer is that there was like I call it the bad kung fu movie effect, where the dialogue wasn't matching the physicality of things. They did a great job, but the physical acting was amazing, the Japanese actors that they hired for those games, but there was this kind of mismatch. So we pitched to the game company.
He said pitched, not bitched.
Mismatched. So anyways, my partner and I sort of put together some proposals and said, hey, we can get talent from America. It'll be a more fluid experience. You guys don't have to worry about all the logistics of getting talent from America, because a lot of Japanese were like, well, we don't like language issues and just talent coordination and all that. And like, we can do that. That's our job. And they went for it. We did, our first project was Resident Evil Outbreak. We did part one, and then we came back for 2, and then they were like, hey, we're going to do this. Devil May Cry 2 had just come out or was about to come out, and they said we're going to go right into Devil May Cry 3. It's going to be kind of a reboot of the system or the franchise.
And Reuben more power and fluidity. So.
And Reuben looks kind of like Dante. So would you mind auditioning? And I'm like, yeah, sure. So I auditioned for the role. Dan auditioned for Dante.
I did too.
Johnny Young Bosch, who is now Dante, auditioned for Dante for 3 for the original. When we did that so many years ago.
Yeah, Johnny Young Bosch is playing a younger version of Reuben's character Dante in the animated series for Netflix.
It just came out this weekend, synchronistically.
So he's our brother. So
Yeah.
He was here, but so that was how I got started, is through that, and then it's just the game has spawned many games, and we got Dan in for Virgil
and a TV series on Netflix.
Yeah, and it's been quite the journey. 20 plus years, I think.
People are sitting in the audience wearing leather and carrying giant plastic swords.
It's the 20th anniversary just happened, I think, right?
Something like that.
Back in February. 20 years since Devil May Cry 3. So old. The Devil May Cry franchise itself has been going for probably 25 years, I think, something like that. So it's been here we are, 20 years later, and we're still talking about Devil May Cry. So it's what a journey.
Thank you, Reuben, for that.
Yeah.
He's a big part of the reason it is what it is.
Oh, another kiss.
I told him I'd do that to him all day. Just so is it my turn?
Yes.
You guys know the story. Is there anybody here who doesn't know anything about Devil May Cry? Good. I'm gonna save some time and just say it's great to see you guys again.
You mean I didn't have to say all that?
Thank you guys very much for coming and making this an event. It brings us out to see you, and we're always happy to see the result of the hard work that we all put into the project. So this is a mutual beneficial scenario, and it doesn't happen without your enthusiasm.
Damn right. Thank you.
So take us through the process of, and you could even kind of start and say, well, the first one we did was like this, and then we kind of developed it this way. But just how do you make the game? What's the process? What kind of direction are you given? And how do you create this, basically?
Okay, well, so for Devil May Cry 3, it was a whole new process when it came to the cinematics that we were working. Actually, it was my recommendation to hire Yuji Shimomura, who was the cinematic director for 3, 4, and 5. And he has a unique style of action and comedy, and I just thought he was a good fit for when Capcom gave us the script and was like, hey, what do you think? So he came in, and he worked with his team to film these we call them video storyboards, which is kind of like a previs. Really,
Previs, short for pre-visual of what the product it has potential to be, and then also allows production to give us notes on what they would like to change. So that by the time we get to the set, we know what we're doing and we're doing it. We're not wasting time trying to figure it out.
Yeah, and what it does is it gives the animators and Capcom sort of a template that they can stick in to their game while we're developing the main cinematics, because this, from taking it from motion capture to final animation takes quite some time. So they have this live action sort of template that has all the key story points, and then Capcom can go in and make notes and say, oh, well, for example, a lot of the game design comes as it's developing. There may be different entrances and exit points for the game and how the levels are built and everything. So they'll put in those templates, and then they'll design more game stuff, and they're like, oh, you know what, we need them to walk this way, or we need them to, when they're done with the cinematic, it needs to go this way. So a lot of that happens during the process, and typically they get the game about 50% done, and then we come in with the cinematics. So they were already working 2, maybe 3 years on the game before they even brought us in for 5 on the cinematic shoots. And then from there it was another 2-3 years?
3, yeah.
3 years before the game actually came out. So these games, these big games like this take years and years, and hundreds of people on a team. It's as big, if not bigger, than a big budget Hollywood film, and takes quite a long time. So, and then we get to see those video storyboards, which I think you guys saw that. So Yuji shot with his team that, and then we watch the storyboards as kind of to get us a template of the environment, of some of the action and stuff. All of those templates are in Japanese, so then we go in with, and then we rewrite the script, and we do everything on our side. And there was a lot of script rewriting.
We write the whole script.
We basically rewrote the whole script on set. Because
But that's what they hire us to do, to bridge that Eastern-Western cultural gap. It's not that the script was bad and we had to rewrite it. It's that we are purposefully brought in to bridge that gap, just so you understand.
Yeah, because in Japanese, there are certain things culturally that don't work in English for a Western audience. So we're trying to, and a lot gets lost in translation when you just do it direct. If the writers or the translators, they get the script and they just go to town on the translations, and they're not, because it's not, we don't have the visuals in front of us, I should say the translators don't have the visuals, they're just seeing dialogue and script talk, and they're not seeing all the little nuances that come about when you get it on its feet and it's moving. And that's what we did, is when we were moving it on its feet, we were figuring out, oh, that doesn't quite work here, and what are you trying to say here? And oh, that works in Japanese, but that doesn't work in English. So we're
like, let's rock, babies.
Actually, that's what it ended up being. It was before that. It was like something else.
It was the result of a needed compromise.
Well, and it's also a game that's so steeped in the importance of one-liners and colloquialisms and idioms. So not having native translation to English makes it so that there's like an attempt at that, but obviously, like you said, it's just lost in translation. And I remember the first time we did a table read, just like y'all and Johnny, and just like no, just scratching stuff out like this is not
Brian
a thing a human would say.
Taken aback. Oh no, you were doing that. You were.
Yeah,
somebody was taken aback.
I was taken aback because
our first table read. Like, these actors can just do that to the lines.
You can just
like
say no. We're not saying this. I was like, what?
Because the script is usually sacred.
Well, and I mean, you guys wouldn't have known this, but at least for my character, the audition process was so intense and so intentional. Like very specific things, saying very specific lines, very specific ways. And so when we got to the table read, I was like, this is something where every aspect of it is curated to exactly what they want, and I can't excuse my language, I can't mess with that. And then I see them just going like giant Sharpie, no.
And what Faye's talking about is right. Normally the script is sacred. That's where the story comes from, right? But like I said, this was designed to be flexible and to work with us. So
and also,
if you didn't know that you would have been like, whoa, they're just changing some writer's words. That's crazy.
Well, I was going to say as well, because Nico was the character I play in Devil May Cry 5. Has everybody played Devil May Cry 5?
Yeah.
Yes? Do we love her? Thank you. Yeah, she's all right. Because she had she'd never been established before, so we could take a lot of liberties in making sure that, especially because she was like a Southern girl, that she was written very much like how I envisioned her to be. Yeah.
Well, that's always nice when that happens.
Yes, it's very nice when that happens. It never happens.
Immediately connect with it. Yeah.
Yeah, it actually never happens.
Sometimes you're working really hard to make a connection with the material.
Well, they didn't even, like, when I auditioned for the part, I didn't even see a picture of her. They hadn't sent me a scan. I based it on her, just some of her lines. And then when we started shooting it, because a lot of the stuff we were doing on the fly, like literally they set up the scene and then we're like, nope, let's work it. All of us just read it out right now and make that scene work. We were really doing it in real time, which made it feel so alive. And actually when I watch those scenes back, I go, it's got so much momentum and a lot of flavor.
It's not just saying lines to each other.
Yeah, it's definitely not saying lines. We really sort of took the liberty of being, okay, this is the arc, and then we're just gonna try and hit those notes.
Yeah, and to speak to the process, there's a little more room for that in motion capture. And to give you a reference point, in film, you're shooting 6 pages a day is a very long day. If you're shooting any more than 6 pages a day, you're really cramming a lot of material in. In motion capture, we do like 18 pages a day.
They work us like horses.
So that's
And
when
that's
you're like
adding
cramming
in-
material in, but if we're not having to cram 18 pages a day and we have time for these kinds of rehearsals, because we don't have to build a set, we don't have to maintain a set, we don't have to we don't mess with lighting, camera positions, the cameras virtual. So that allows
More
the
play.
actors to shoulder more work throughout the day.
But we don't get writing credit.
We didn't get a writing credit.
Oh, we do.
But you guys know. That's
But
all
you
that
know.
matters.
You know the truth.
Yeah.
You know the truth.
You make concessions to play the really cool roles in your career sometimes.
Yes.
I think didn't it win some kind of award at the Game Awards
Best
that
action
year?
game of the year.
Best action video game in
Best
2019.
soundtrack. You know.
And it won soundtrack also.
Did it win
Best
anything
supporting character.
with the cast or voice directing or anything like that or something?
Best
Yeah,
action.
yeah.
I'll take best action video game of
Best
2019.
introduction
Get
of a
best
new
video game in
character.
2019. I'll take that.
Did it win that? I don't know.
Yeah.
It
It
did.
won. It won.
It won best
did.
video game 2019.
I was
Oh, I had
there.
no idea.
I just made it up.
I was there.
You were there?
I
You were
was
at
at
the
the Gaming Awards.
Oh,
yeah.
nice.
He was hosting.
They legitimately had a symphony there playing one of the main title themes from the game. It was
Wow.
awesome.
You think with all that they would do another one, don't you think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
want another one?
they should include a character like Nico. There needs to be. I look at Nico as the female version of Dante.
Ooh,
That's cool.
that's a
Just as in terms of balance of character, personality in the story.
It was a real soft entrance as well. What made the whole process so much easier and more fun was having you guys and Johnny there, because you had already worked so long with that team and with each other. It was such a more comfortable and relaxed environment to come in and play versus if we had all never been a part of it, and especially being abroad, going and filming in Japan.
Yeah.
It would have been so much more static and so much more, I need to be here to be the actor and, all that kind of stuff. And it made it feel so much more like, family creating this whole thing. And that was huge for me personally, and I know we all had a good time doing it. So definitely helped.
It was so fun.
It was.
It was so fun. Yeah.
So now we do have a visual component to this, and we've got technician Emilio who's going
All right, Emilio.
to steal your laptop and attempt to
It's not the
make that
HDMI is
work.
not
But
registering.
so I've got another question here. This kind of is an interesting one to frame. That last year we had some other actors from a Capcom game, an early Capcom game we're going to call it, because they didn't know that they were in the game for about 20 years.
Wow.
I think a few of you may remember that presentation. And if not, you can go back and find it. It's online. So you guys did realize you were in the game, and we're very aware of it. have you played the game, and are you good at it?
Is this where I claim, like Elon Musk, that I'm the top, one of the top players in the world, and then I get on and I don't know what I'm doing because I haven't played the game.
Your nephew plays it for
I love the game. I started out on Atari, Commodore, Nintendo, Sega. I used to play games a lot. I used to do a lot of MMO, and then at some point, I had work to do. I was very busy with making more games and making more shows, and so by the time Devil May Cry 5 and 3 came along, I did not get a chance to play the game. I just don't have the time to invest in it. But I love watching the cinematics, and I love how the cinematics came out. And when I do see the gameplay, I want to play because I used to be a gamer, and so I recognize how well designed it is because of that. And at some point, I will get a chance to sit down and play the game when I have a little bit more time in my schedule. I look forward to that. So, unfortunately, I've seen all the cinematics and I know the story, but the gameplay will be a nice little added treat that I get to experience for the first time by myself in a console with padded walls when I start throwing the control at them. Because I hear it's very difficult.
Especially 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, I played 1, a little bit of 2, and then of course you play 3 if you're in. For me, I'm in it. And it was kind of weird at first, pushing the buttons and hearing your voice. That's so weird. I'm not used to that. But then you get used to it. And then
so you spend 20 minutes just pressing the buttons. Hear all the lines.
I'll make them say that.
Make them say that. Again.
Oh yeah, that's cool. That's me, huh? I'm more. My game, no offense to the Devil May Cry people out here, my game is Street Fighter. I've been an avid Street Fighter fan.
That's what I grew up on too, yeah.
Playing Ken in the 7-Eleven down the street.
Yep.
Skipping school. Street Fighter 2.
Karate Champ.
Karate Champ. Wow.
Remember that?
Yeah. That's
took 10 seconds for him to respond. I'm like, I'm faster than that.
But then, that's been always my most heavily invested game. And then for me, it was a dream to be Ken because that was my main for so many years. And then, so that's where all my time went. Not so much in Devil May Cry. Sorry, Devil May Cry fans. It went in Street Fighter. But I have played Street Fighter, of course. Just I have not beaten it. It's so damn hard. 3.
Oh, you mean you played Devil May Cry 3?
Yeah, I played Devil May Cry 3, 4, and 5, but 3 is so hard. I just didn't. I give up.
Oh, sorry, you.
Yeah, I played it. I played it really narcissistically, being like, oh, this is awesome. I'm in a game that I'm gonna play hours and hours of, and almost immediately I had to skip every single cutscene. I can't. I thought it'd be really cool. I did not enjoy it at all because of that. I just it's such a visceral memory that I enjoy watching the cutscenes as their own thing or playing the game, but combining the two, I felt I felt weirdly icky, narcissistic about it. And it's very odd because I grew up, always been a gamer, love playing video games. Devil May Cry 2 is the first one I ever played, but that was ages ago, so I have a good history of it, and I still game a lot these days. But it was really tough to play because I was just that's me. Yeah, it was really tough. But I got through it. Also, I found V extremely difficult to play as, so that helped because I would never play as V. I would always play as Nero. But yeah, that was it.
I have not played Devil May Cry, but I watched all the cutscenes. I love the cutscenes. In terms of my gaming experience, I like board games.
Yeah, Catan.
Catan and Splendor and stuff like that. But I've played Mirror's Edge Catalyst. That's one game that I have played.
Faye and I met on Mirror's Edge.
Huh?
We met on Mirror's Edge.
We did. That's right. We were shooting
way before Devil May Cry.
That's wild.
Yeah.
The nature of motion capture and voice acting, like any industry, but it feels so small, like so closed circle. The amount of people that know, either have directly worked with or they've been on the same titles. You may not actually work with someone, but you're like, oh, you and I were both in this, game or anime or whatever it may be. It's incredible. Yeah, great group of people.
It's a small industry. It's very small. If you want to get into it, it's accessible.
Yeah.
If it's something that you really, really want to get into. Yeah.
All right. So what I think we're going to do here is we're going to open the floor to questions. So if you have a question, raise your hand and I'll acknowledge you, and we'll go. I'm going to start with you because I saw your hand first.
Yes.
Hello.
Hello.
Good to see everyone. Once earlier, 5 is my favorite game of the series.
Oh yeah.
It was
Mine too.
It's
Just in its design and production.
It's so everyone involved just nailed it. Now, there's a lot of callbacks in the game, and I appreciate every single one of them. Is there any that you guys wanted to have in and it didn't make it? There was one that I always joke with a friend that the story with you guys fighting over Daniel was saying you already have one, but I want yours too. I was kind of hoping somehow that would, and when you asked for the motto, you'd say you already have a sword, but I want yours too. Is there anything like that you wanted to bring back in, but just kind of never made it?
No.
Everything made the cut.
I don't know about specific. Obviously, I wouldn't know, but you guys referenced a whole lot of what you did previously. So I'd say there's probably way more than you remember doing. But you guys were always joking about like, oh, remember this from.
We did. I mean, we brought back Jackpot. We did, which Reuben and I weren't fans of, but
it's so good.
That doesn't mean it's not a. It's not. It hasn't landed with you guys so well, right? So. We did. My character.
My new favorite line.
Yeah, my character does a lot of that. So does his character. So I guess when I say no, I mean they did it for us. They put it in the writing.
Yeah.
Is there like a chance we could get like a DMC6 in like 2030?
Yes.
Let me say what I've been saying to a couple folks that were in line for autographs. I now live in Japan, and I had dinner with Yuji last week. Yuji Shimomura, the cinematic director. And we were talking, so now that Ichino-san is no longer with Capcom, is 6 even a possibility?
Yeah.
Because I don't think Capcom would, they might do something without him, but he's really the key component that made those games so successful, I think, for 3, 4, and 5.
He's the heart and soul of Devil May Cry.
Yeah, and a lot of those comical moments and those goofy things and all that, that's Itsuno-san, that's who he is. And Shimomura and I were kind of reflecting on that, and like, yeah, that's we have him to thank for a lot of that. And him bringing in the team, too, and him having the trust in the team. The reason we were able to do all those script things is because he trusts Just Cause, he trusts the actors, he knows that we've been, that we were all able to deliver what he wants.
That's not to say that if Capcom decided to try to do it,
we
wouldn't do it without him.
Oh, totally. But one thing that Shimomura-san kind of hinted at that might be more of a possibility is Mikami-san, who is the creator of Devil May Cry, and also Bayonetta. And Shimomura did the cinematics for Bayonetta. And Shimomura was like, those worlds are the same worlds. They're actually, if you really think about it, they're different game companies, but they're the same worlds. And now that Mikami-san is working with Capcom again he just did an Okami game, and so it's probably more likely that there might be some kind of Bayonetta Devil May Cry crossover than a DMC6 at this point. That's not saying that that's going to happen, so nobody quote me on that. This is just over dinner talk, and we're like, we kind of, because everybody wants a 6. He wants a 6. We want a 6. We all want a 6. But is it likely?
It's the germ of an idea. That's how these things kind of can gain momentum.
So if you guys would like a Bayonetta Devil May Cry crossover, then write your congressman.
So you're saying there's a chance?
Yes.
All right, so you have another question right over here.
Hi, how's everybody doing?
My question for you guys is...
Oh, that's rhetorical. Oh, I was going to answer. Just recovering from a respiratory infection.
I'm just trying to be...
Gotcha.
My question is that depending on either it be a new role or a reoccurring role in that, what gets you motivated when you are about to like jump in the sound booth or like
any role?
Yeah, just any role.
No, that's my answer. Any role.
Money.
Oh, there's so much money in
video that's games. A given. That's a given.
I was gonna say, I really enjoyed playing Nico so much because we had so much freedom to really make these characters our own. So when you do anything on TV, you're quite restricted when you're working on TV because the shots and everything has to be all set up. But specifically for motion capture, you really get to really be in the space, and they give you can take like 9 takes, 15 takes, because you don't have to reset or anything. So I would say the character of Nico is something I always look forward to, whether I get to say some lines or anything, because she's so visceral to me.
I think also there's like a great aspect to motion capture and voiceover where, unlike being on camera in the traditional sense, you're just not worried about makeup and hair and all that kind of stuff, so you really have the freedom to play. I mean, like, especially for me, going into a voiceover booth and all that, I like jump around and all that, depending on what the character's doing. I get myself amped up and all that, and you're just never worried about how you look or anything like that.
Look as ugly as you want.
Yeah, well, even in facial capture, it's still like...
No, the face cams.
Yeah, you're able to do that, again, without having to worry about where the camera is as such. So you can be much more natural, because they're filming 360 top head to toe. So it's like, if I make a face looking this way or that way, it doesn't matter, it's still captured. Whereas if you're filming and camera's here, if I make a face looking that way, it's useless.
That's a good point, except that for some of the technology, the face cam is held on a wire right in front of your face.
Yeah.
So when you're trying to talk to each other, you're trying not to clash.
Especially for those kids.
So,
yeah.
So we're always like adjusting
because it looked too
while you're
awkward.
talking.
When you get really close to people, it is awkward to be like, I can't go much further. Yeah, we're good. All right. Yeah.
What was the question again?
What gets you like amped when you're going for a role, be it voiceover or motion capture? How do you? Any character.
What roles excite you?
I like Dante from Devil May Cry.
Yeah, I mean,
that's the most excited I get when I get out of bed.
Yeah.
Yes. Dan, what was your favorite character to mocap for Devil May Cry 5? Because you may not know this, but Dan did a whole lot more than just Virgil there. For a whole lot.
I did Griffin. I did Morrison.
Morrison.
And I did Cerberus.
I did one of the monsters. What was one of the first big monsters?
Malthus?
Was it Malthus? Goliath. I did the motion capture for Goliath. That was a lot of fun.
Oh, and yours, and I did yours.
Yeah.
Dan being Griffin, like legit, I'm not joking at all. Did this the entire. I'm not joking at all. Every second that we were filming, he was doing this. It was incredible.
Well, I'm a bird. I gotta fly.
Yeah, and boy did you.
I could have hopped. I realized.
All right, we got another question over here.
Well, it's a good thing you guys said you played the games. What are your favorite weapons from them?
Long, sharp, metal piece.
Shadow.
Every devil breaker ever.
Yeah.
What's the bike's name? Is the bike out there? There we go. Yeah.
That was cool. That was cool.
For sure.
Hi, so my question is specifically aimed at Dan and Reuben. I know you guys are also in tokusatsu shows such as Power Rangers, and specifically Reuben, this is probably deep cut, you were in B Fighter Pakuda.
I was.
So I actually want to ask, did that experience sort of help you ease into the role of Dante and Virgil and do all the motion capture?
Yeah.
And what is it like knowing that at least a third of the cast came from Power Rangers, like Johnny Bosch was in my opinion?
I'll tell you why that happened. Reuben was a stuntman on the show. He was supposed to be an actor on the show, actually.
Yeah.
But just the way circumstances worked out, we met when he was working. I was actually a stuntman at the same time, and then I got cast in the role of Eric Myers. But Reuben went on to start his company Just Cause and then make this alliance with Capcom. And he needs actors that can do action. So he's gonna call on the people that he knows, have that background, and at the time, the only television show on, the only show on TV where actors were being cast for their action background also was Power Rangers. So it was a perfect funnel. And he brought us in, that's why you see me and Johnny Bosch in there, and we're guys who do our own action. And I channeled Eric Myers right into Virgil.
And the at the time too, so motion capture is very theatrical, like on stage, because you're seeing your whole body. It's very animated in a sense compared to close-up shots here, and we have those moments, but we needed physical actors, and not only that, a lot of the Power Rangers, most of the Power Rangers, the cast had worked under Koichi Sakamoto and Japanese stunt teams. So they had this understanding of
Japanese work
ethic.
Yeah.
And because my company was sponsoring these actors and their visas to Japan, in Japan, it's a whole different set of rules. When an actor, let's say, for example, an actor comes over under our company, and if a crime was committed or something like that, then in America, the individual is held responsible. In Japan, because we brought the actors over, if a crime was committed or something bad happened, the people who brought them over, so myself, my partner, and our company would be held responsible for that crime, not the individual. So we had to vet every person, even before coming to the audition. We wanted to make sure this is our big chance. We need actors that I know I can trust.
Oh damn! I didn't realize that.
I know. I was like, dude, I could have done way more.
Criminal background.
So we wanted to make sure we had, trustworthy actors that, one, understood Japanese work ethic, two, that aren't going to go to Japan and cause a mess, and show up on time and do all that. Just good work ethic actors. So that was the main reason I pulled from that talent pool. And initially we didn't have open castings or anything like that. It was just a select group that I had handpicked from mostly my Power Ranger experience.
Yeah, I mean, and a really important part of that is working with Koichi Sakamoto and the Japanese stunt team, because we were going to be working with the Japanese stunt team in production in Japan. So that assimilated us into a cultural aspect that was important.
And there's a unique style
of
Japanese action acting. As you know from tokusatsu acting, there's a unique style that translated over into the game. So a lot of that did carry over. So yeah, there's definitely those cut from the same cloth. Yeah.
So unfortunately, that's all the time we have. Let's have another big round of applause. Cast of Devil May Cry. And you guys do have a table up in the back of the vendor hall, correct?
Yes.
So
We have a booth. We're going to be at the Spotlight signing, just so that you can come through really quick and get all of us there together signing one piece. But we do have a booth where you can actually spend more time with us. So and we do pictures with props, and it's a lot of fun. It's a really much more enriched experience. So if you go to the Spotlight and you go through and you get that one autograph with all of us on it, come see us at the booth. There's so much more we can do and make it work.
We can just chill.
Make it an enriched time.
And their booth, just so you know where it is, as soon as you go into the vendor halls to the left. So easy to find.
The kitty corner from B1.
So I know there were a bunch of questions we didn't get to, so you guys can go visit and ask them directly. One more big round of applause.
Yes. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
And that's the end of this podcast episode. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did, hearing all the stories about how Devil May Cry has been developed over the past 20 years by Dan Southworth, Reuben Langdon, Faye Kingslee, and Brian Hanford. I really appreciated them being at the 2025 Midwest Gaming Classic, and I hope to see them at future shows. And until next time, take care, stay safe, and game on.